I, 50s female, have a son, L, 30s, who is married to B, 20s. They have a daughter who is 4 months old, and my son has a daughter from a previous relationship who is 10. B and I had a falling out after their baby was born, and my son and granddaughters got caught in the crossfire. The falling out happened in March, and I know I did and said some things I wasn't proud of. And although she hasn't apologized, I'm sure she feels the same way. It would be too long to go over the history, but at the most extreme point, I did consult a lawyer for grandparent rights. During this time, my son had no contact with me, but when I dropped the grandparents' rights case, I asked for things to go back to normal. My son expressed that he wanted things to go back to normal, but that a lot of damage had been done, and he really didn't know if we could go back to normal. For Mother's Day, my daughter decided to take me out to dinner, and she begged Elle to go and bring the baby. Oldest was with Mom. Elle eventually did agree, on the condition it wasn't on Mother's Day, and he, the baby, and B came. B was quiet most of dinner, but did talk to my daughter a few times. I guess they have a pretty good relationship. B held the baby the entire time, and wouldn't let me hold or take pictures. Part of the falling out was over pictures and Facebook, so I found this to be petty. Overall, I would have called dinner a success. At the end, I hugged my son and told him I was proud of him for putting his foot down and coming to dinner with his daughter, and that I hoped he could continue to do that. Looking back, I know I shouldn't have said anything. My son called me later that night and told me that he couldn't continue to have a relationship with me. He said that B was their child's mother, and he couldn't ever bring the baby anywhere without her blessing. I was drunk when he called because I have a hard time coping, and I admit I lost it a little bit on the phone call and told him it was despicable that he couldn't man up to his wife, and that he should have come to see me on Mother's Day because I am his mother. He ended up hanging up on me. I called the next day and profusely apologized to him. I know it was wrong of me to have said what I did, and I told him I want a relationship with him. He told me he couldn't do this with me anymore. I've been heartbroken ever since, but I understand, I guess. I called him last night and told him that I wouldn't be contacting him or his wife anymore, ever, and that I respected that we wouldn't have a relationship. I also let him know I would be taking him off as my power of attorney and out of my will, so he never had to be bothered with anything from me again. I don't have much anyways. He got mad at me and called me a sorry excuse of a mother, and now my daughter is saying I'm manipulative. I really don't understand how I was wrong in giving him what he wants. Normally I'd say it's your money and you can do what you want, which is still true. But yeah, you're the a-hole, and you are absolutely being manipulative. You fell out with his wife because you didn't like or follow the rules that she was setting around their child. Then you consulted an attorney for grandparents' rights and followed that up by pressuring them to come to a Mother's Day meal, insulted both of them at the end, and now you're holding money over their head in an attempt to either hurt your son's feelings or get him to obey you. Do better, because right now, you're making a lot of bad decisions. You're the a-hole. You don't have to include him in your will, but what you said about him putting his foot down was passive-aggressive and mean. You blame his wife for the problems with your son, but you've behaved extremely badly again and again. It sounds like you posted pics of his child on Facebook without their permission. It's not petty of them to not be okay with that. You weren't giving him what he wants. You removed him from the will to make him feel bad. You did that to hurt him. Now you won't have a relationship with him or his child. You're the a-hole. Anyone going after grandparents' rights is. Context. I am French and gay. I became homeless when I came out to my mother at age 15. I lived in a homeless shelter until university started. And since uni is free and you're paid a wage, plus allowed to live on campus basically for free as a student, I got a master's. I got a great job opportunity in the USA, and I now live in Illinois with my husband. In the meantime, I know Mom has successfully convinced everyone else in our lives that she's not hateful, she did not kick me out, and I for some reason willingly chose to be homeless as a teen. After 12 years of no contact, Mom contacted me directly, and although she never apologized, she claimed to want a renewed relationship with me. It was a lot of emotional pain, but I eventually agreed to her terms, and I paid for a round-trip plane ticket for her to visit me in the US. I made it plenty clear that I was an adult, and that I expected her to behave, and I genuinely believed she would. On the phone, she sounded much nicer than she had ever been to me. I was really hopeful and ready to make efforts. And then she showed up in person, and she was immediately acting like the crap mom she always was. She kept referring to my husband with that tone of voice. She complained about everything and insulted my home and my decorations and my cat. I showed her the guest bedroom, and she went, "That bed is too small. I refuse to sleep there." She seriously demanded to sleep in the master bedroom, while me and my husband share the one-person bed in the guest room, plus sleeping on the couch or floor, so she could have the king-sized bed. So I was standing there, next to the open balcony, carrying her suitcase, while she is berating me and giving orders, and I kinda lost it. I threw the suitcase out of the window. Mom screeched at me as usual. I told her to go retrieve her stuff. The second she was out the front door, I locked it and called the police to report an insane woman trespassing. Then I screamed at Mom from the balcony to duck right off and that she is not welcome in my home ever again and that I called the police. Officers came, talked with me a bit, and gently led Mom away while she was screaming insults at me the whole time. She does not speak a word of English. She is on the RSA, $600 a month income, so she can't afford another plane ticket. I gathered later that she is staying at a motel until the day her prepaid plane ticket takes off. My social media has been exploding from acquaintances in France who are getting my mom's version of the story, and everyone is super mad at me. Am I the a-hole? And would I be the a-hole if I took to social media to call Mom out on her hate towards teen me, since she is blowing up Facebook to call me out? Not the a-hole. She was probably looking for a way to come and stay with you long term and have you pay for everything. You protected yourself, and I might say, fabulously kicked her to the curb. Not the a-hole, dude. You are my hero. Chuck the suitcase and your crappy mom out of your house, hopefully yelling in beautiful French the whole time. And who cares about what trash acquaintances in Europe are saying? They're an ocean away, and the world is full of wonderful people to make into your friends and family. People who will love you for being you. Shake that dirt off your shoes. All of it. Not the a-hole. She got what she deserved. For your own mental health, avoid her, even if she claims she's changed. My ex, Thomas, and I have been split for around 4 years. We have 2 kids together, twins, a boy and a girl, age 12. He remarried Sandy about 18 months ago. She has 2 children between 7 and 10 years old. Our current custody agreement is I have the kids 2 weeks on, 1 week off, when they go to Thomas's. It's a private agreement we have as it works best with his job as he travels, so he makes sure for that week he is home. Recently, I got a text from Sandy asking if I could come pick the kids up. She had plans and my ex had been held up at work. Wasn't a problem. I was on my way home from work, so I could swing by and get them. I rang my ex to confirm that's what he wanted, and also said it's around 5:30, I'll keep them for the night. He said that was great and would let Sandy know. When I got to their place, my kids opened the door and were packed and ready to go. The kids called out that I was there and they were leaving, and she yelled out a goodbye. As I was pulling out of the driveway, Sandy comes running out waving her arms. I stop and ask what the problem was. She asked why I didn't take her kids. I said that wasn't what I agreed to, and I would never agree to that. She replied with, "Why not? I'm always babysitting your kids." I said that's something between you and Thomas, but my kids are my responsibility, and I'm sorry, but I don't know your children well enough to take them back to my house and to have them stay. I left, and within 2 minutes, Thomas is on the phone begging me to go back and get Sandy's kids because she always watches ours. I said the same thing to him and hung up. I got the kids home. While they were having dinner, I asked how often does Sandy watch them. My son said they normally don't see their dad till the weekend. Sometimes they see him in the morning, but it's normally Sandy who is with him during the week. I left the kids to watch TV and rang Thomas back. He started cussing me out about Sandy's kids. I let him finish and asked why he thought it would be appropriate for a woman that those kids hardly know look after them at my house. He said again Sandy watches our kids, so fair's fair, and I've also upset her kids as they were looking forward to the sleepover. I rang my sister to vent. She flipped it on me and said I was taking my issues with Sandy and Thomas out on Sandy's kids. I don't have any issue with either of them, but I'm starting to feel like I was the a-hole, but I made no promises to her kids. Info. She says she babysits the kids during Thomas's week. She has never babysat for me during my time. Update. I wasn't aware that Thomas was MIA during the week. I always ask the kids how was it at their dad's, what they did, etc. But I never grill them for any info, and they haven't mentioned before he hadn't been home. I also don't want to go guns blazing into my lawyers and changing our custody agreement. In our country, not America, it's very common to have private agreements done with our lawyers, and not in front of a judge. I have messaged Thomas to have a catch-up about the kids. Info. For everyone asking about right to first refusal, this is not a law in our country. Not the a-hole. That's just not how custody works. You aren't obligated to take care of your ex's stepkids. Not the a-hole. He's watching the kids. If he has another person babysitting them, that's his issue. I would ask your ex if you can start keeping the kids during the week since he doesn't seem to be home anyway, and just have him get them on the weekend. This sounds like a mess between them that they're going to drag OP into. Not the a-hole. It's on your ex and his new wife to figure out babysitting of all the kids while in their care. It's his agreement with her that she takes care of your kids on his behalf. You have no part to fulfill in this agreement. They are free to find a babysitter for his stepkids as well. Final update. I've just gotten back from a catch-up with Thomas. We have agreed for right now, I'll have the kids full-time, and he'll have them every second weekend. But I've also made him agree that he'll take them out during the week twice a month. And when his work settles down, we will go back to the original agreement with him being at home. Otherwise, I will be going for full legal custody through the courts. A little background. I, 40 male, am 4.5 years divorced from my ex, 36 female, and we have 2 children with a weekly schedule. Our custody agreement says that we exchange at a specific public place. About a year ago, my ex asked if I could drop the kids off at her place instead of the public place. I said sure. It's only a minute away and it's no big deal. Figured it was just a nice thing to do. So for the past year, I've been driving to her place to drop off and to pick up the kids at exchange time. The main caveat is that she will not allow me through the door, which doesn't bother me. I don't really care to go in her place that much. It's only annoying when it's freezing and I'm waiting 15 plus minutes because one of the kids isn't ready yet. So the am I the a-hole part. Last night we exchanged and as usual, I walk the kids to the door, give them hugs and kisses, and I love you, be good for your mom. While I was doing that, the door was open and my ex was standing there and she says, "Please don't look in my house. It's messy and I don't want you looking at it." Okay, sure. I can't suddenly go blind, but whatever. I really don't care if the place is messy. I know she worked all week and probably didn't have time to pick up. No biggie. My 5-year-old asked me to open a juice for her and was being silly and I started laughing at her. My ex gets mad and starts saying, "Stop laughing at my mess. It's not funny. Don't disrespect my boundaries. I told you not to look in my house." I was surprised and responded, "I wasn't. I was laughing at child. I don't care about your house." She kept getting more irate and saying I was disrespecting her boundaries. At this point, I see my older child, 12-year-old, getting uncomfortable, so I shrugged it off, hugged the kids, and left. Later, I texted her that I wasn't trying to disrespect her. I was hugging my kids. My place is messy too, and to not be too hard on herself about it. She doubled down that I'm disrespectful, and it's her wish and I need to respect it. I responded this morning by saying, "Look, let's just go back to switching at specific public place. That way I don't see whatever your house looks like, and I'm not going to drop the kids off in a blindfold." And she railed on me all morning about how I don't know how to compromise, that she didn't know how we lasted in marriage, and I need to be respectful of her insecurities. She stated that she expects me to drop the kids off, but not leave the vicinity of my truck and not approach her door. To which I'm like, okay, that's basically a trespass order. So I plan to go back to switching at the public place, because my eyes work. I can't turn them off, and I'm not going to drop my kids off at her place as a favor just to be told I'm unwelcome outside of my vehicle. But apparently, I'm an a-hole that is walking all over her boundaries. I don't think that I am, but maybe. You tell me, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Funny that she says you're the one that doesn't know how to compromise. I think you're doing the right thing by switching back to the public place. You tried to be as accommodating as possible, but she decided to make it difficult, so it's best to just follow the original agreement. Not the a-hole. She's being unreasonable, and her insecurities are not your responsibility to soothe, fix, etc. Sticking as closely to your legal agreement as possible is a better choice given her response. Not the a-hole. It sounds like she harbors a lot of residual resentment from y'all's past. No reason to be touchy about an open door. She's just trying to be controlling. I, 23 female, have a stepsister, Maggie, 27 female, whose mother Miranda is married to my dad. I grew up mainly with my mother and stepfather, so didn't see Miranda or Maggie that often. Also, Maggie and Miranda have a massive chip on their shoulders about my dad's extended family, so they stopped coming to most group things, and I spent a lot of time staying with my grandparents during holidays. For various reasons, most of my dad's family has converged on the same area in the last couple of years, so we see each other more often. Maggie got married last year, and I'm getting married this summer. The weddings are not close together and not comparable in terms of venue, size, aesthetic, literally anything, but that hasn't stopped Maggie comparing them incessantly. She's annoyed that my dad offered to pay for mine. I refused, but didn't for hers. She's mad that I'm wearing heirloom jewelry for my wedding that she wasn't offered. She's mad that extended family will be attending my wedding when they didn't attend hers. She has gone so far as to say that she should have married my fiancé since she's closer in age to him, and they skipped her. She believes my marriage was arranged. It seems to boil down to that she didn't get the wedding she wanted gratis, and she's still bitter about it. About a week ago, the family, grandparents, dad, Miranda, Maggie plus husband, aunt, cousin plus wife, me plus fiancé, had dinner. The subject of a family member came up and their accommodation for the wedding, and Maggie chimed in to say how nice it was that they were able to make it to mine because they were too busy to come to hers. No one acknowledged what she said, so she started to talk about the excuse they'd given at a stupidly loud volume, so that everyone had to listen. I'm not a confrontational person, but a mix of wine and exhaustion took over, and I said, "No one cared about your wedding a year ago, and they're not going to start today, so please, just spare us." There was an awkward silence until everyone moved on, but Maggie started crying and quietly left the table and eventually went home. My dad says she is too humiliated to talk to anyone and probably won't come to the wedding. My dad is pressuring me to apologize because Miranda is giving him a hard time, as is Maggie. He says I knew how much it hurt Maggie that a lot of the family pomp was not part of her wedding, and while she has taken it too far, I went for the jugular, and I didn't need to, because she wasn't being disparaging to me. She was just inappropriately expressing bottled-up feelings. To me, it felt like she was using my important life event to draw attention to herself, which felt unfair and mean-spirited, which is why I reacted the way I did. That said, it seemed like she's not brushing off my comment as easily as I did hers, so I'm wondering if I took it too far. You're the a-hole. Listen to your dad. What you did was inappropriate and unnecessarily mean. You're the a-hole. You did it just to rub it in Maggie's face that she's a second-class citizen in the family, didn't you? Not the a-hole. I understand why she would be upset if people did not attend her wedding, but to keep bringing it up is overkill. I am confused about why she thought it was okay to bring up her wedding while the family was discussing OP's wedding. Then she wants to be shocked when OP finally claps back.